Alrighty, welcome on in. Welcome on into uh, our coverage of the college football playoff semifinals. We're gonna get college ball tonight, starting right now. Right. 1 second here. Again, congratulations to everyone. This college football season was thought to be impossible just not too long ago. Managed to get it done. Managed to get the season underway. Here we go. College ball tonight, right now.
Wire
place. FM to get started. That's anchor.fm.
The Rose Bowl, and we had earlier games today as well. Let's start with the Peach Bowl. It was an amazing game. Came down to the wire. Georgia winning, and obviously there was a play call at the end that was a really questionable one. We had a 3rd down and 2, I believe it was, with about 1:40. Georgia was out of timeouts, and they elected to throw the ball. Ended up being an incompletion. In my opinion, they should have ran the ball there because of how physical Cincinnati had been up to that point. I feel like they could have gotten it running the ball. I feel like an RPO probably would have been an option where you call a run, and then if you have a matchup you like, you throw the ball. But throwing the ball down the field 20 yards, I don't think that was really the right play against a Georgia defense that is some of the best recruits in the country. All right, let's move. I think that game, obviously, it shows that the American can compete. Cincinnati's a really good team. They have a lot of weapons. And I think if they were in the playoff, I don't know if they would have done any worse than Notre Dame today. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go to the Citrus Bowl. We had Northwestern taking on Auburn. Northwestern was the favorite in the game, but the way that they came out was pretty good. There's a lot of feud about fighting Reese Davises this season. They fought pretty hard today. 35 points is a number that I didn't expect. I don't know if anybody expected that they would put up on an Auburn team out of the SEC. And I think it laid the groundwork that the Big Ten is here to play. The Big Ten obviously didn't have a lot of their teams play bowl games, but the ones that did have been pretty good so far. You had Wisconsin, of course, in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They put up a good performance. I mean, it wasn't a great performance, but considering how Wisconsin was about 500 in Big Ten play, they were pretty good in that game. And then you had Northwestern. 35 points is pretty good, especially when you're going all the way down to Orlando. You have a lot of fun down there. And I think a lot of credit has to go to Pat Fitzgerald. Put together a good offense, good defense. And I think they're a team that's going to stick around in the Big Ten West, unlike 2 years ago, or a year ago, I should say, when they were last in the Big Ten West. So they went first to last, back to first in the Big Ten West, and credit to him. All right, we have the game that we create this show for, the college football tonight. We had the Rose Bowl game presented by Capital One, and it was anything but a competitive game. It was all Alabama. Devonte Smith, Mac Jones, Najee Harris. I don't know what you can do, but Alabama was unstoppable. I mean, they did get stopped like a few times, but Alabama's defense was good enough to make the stops they needed, make a couple of stops, and That's kind of what you need. But Alabama's offense took advantage of the flaws in the Notre Dame defense. It wasn't perfect. And this looked a very similar to how Clemson ripped apart Notre Dame in the ACC Championship a week and a half ago. It was like 13 days ago. So you see what we're getting at here is that Alabama is one of the best teams we've seen in quite a while. Devonte Smith, I think he's going to go really high in the draft. He's going to be the first receiver selected. I really don't see any other way because he can make the catches. He is really elusive, and he can get open real good. I think he's similar to Justin Jefferson. He was making a lot of plays in the semifinal last year when they played Oklahoma. LSU did. And I see he can be compared to him. I think he's a little more elusive. Maybe not as good as at the high pointing balls, but I mean, if you don't have to catch a high point ball, that's not really necessary. I think he's going to be really good in the NFL. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Again, we'll have our Sugar Bowl wrap-up a little later. Till then, have a good one. Welcome to the postgame here. Got a lot to get to. We do. This was an amazing Sugar Bowl. Certainly, it was one to remember. And Justin Fields, really, the performance of a lifetime. You can get that many opportunities to put up 6 touchdowns against Clemson. Now, he played injured, and that adds to it. He played with so much pressure. With last year's game, when they lost, it got him sparked up. It got him ready for this one. Ohio State 6 years ago won the Sugar Bowl as a big underdog, and now they're going to have the opportunity to finish it off in Miami against Alabama. Of course, Alabama is much better than the Oregon team they played 6 years ago in the championship game. But that's that. This is this. We've got a national championship set January 11th on ESPN. Should be a fun one for that one. But tonight, it was all about Ohio State, and it was all about their opportunities that they capitalized on. Last year it was field goals. Tonight, it was touchdowns, and a lot of explosive plays. A lot of things went their way. They got a targeting call going their way and got Skalski out of the game. I think that certainly played a role in having Ohio State come out on top. Part of the thing that Clemson, obviously, they had a lot of missed opportunities. They got stopped, and the pressure was there consistently throughout the night. And credit to the Ohio State defense, credit to Ryan Day for getting ready. And I think there's certainly a lot of work to be done to get ready for Alabama because they're so explosive in the pass game and the running game. And that's kind of two-headed monster that is harder than anything else. But we'll get to that in a little bit. After this, continue our post-game coverage.
Hey, you, the listener, want to be on the other side of the mic? Anchor is a free service that allows you or anybody else, for that matter, to make a podcast that is absolutely free. Yes, free. They offer an editing tool right in the app or on their website. Anchor will make your podcast available on platforms like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, just to name a few of them. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership to start making the moolah. It's everything you need to make a podcast right in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm or download the Anchor app today.
Welcome back to the post-game coverage right here, right now, as this amazing performance from Ohio State, it was earlier tonight. And I really hope that the national championship is as entertaining as this game was for so many quarters, and not like we had in the other Rose Bowl, which of course we had our post game for the Rose Bowl a little bit earlier. But let's get right into this Clemson Ohio State game once again. Right here, right now. Ohio State, they did so well. They proved everyone wrong that doubted them. Now, they didn't even have a season to play in September. It wasn't just a few days, a few weeks ago. This was September. This wasn't August. This wasn't before that. They were watching Clemson and Notre Dame, not quite Alabama, but they were watching them play, and they weren't scheduled to play a single game. And here they are, winning in the Sugar Bowl tonight. It's a remarkable performance. Now you can say Ohio State had the advantage because, quite frankly, they didn't get beat up as much. They didn't have as many games under their belt. And I think you can use that the other way, that Ohio State didn't have as much time to get ready. They didn't have really the time to fine-tune and polish their game. It goes every single way. And I think that going forward, you got to expect a lot of points when you put two good quarterbacks together in a college football playoff game. And that certainly is what we saw. I'll be really, really excited to see the title game, and it should be a good one. All right, looking forward to the title game. Now, some stats we got to get out to you tonight for this one, as it featured Ohio State and Clemson. Okay, Justin Fields, I believe, 6 touchdowns tonight, and I mean that really is how you win a game. Turnovers, Clemson 2 turnovers, Ohio State 1 turnover, and that's not huge. But rushing, Ohio State had 260 yards rushing to Clemson's 44. That really is the difference in the game. Passing, it was about the same. 385 for Ohio State, 400 for Clemson, but the touchdowns, 6 for Ohio State, 2 for Clemson. It was those heavy hitters, those long touchdowns of 50+. I think Ohio State had 2 of those. And it really, those plays hurt you more than you think. And Ohio State had a slight advantage of times possession. They ran about the same amount of plays. Total yards, Ohio State, obviously, as they had so much rushing. And I think Sermon deserves a lot of credit. He may not have gotten an MVP, but when you have a running back that gets it going, it causes the opposition to have to stack the box. And that's why there was so much confusion, obviously, for Clemson, because they really hadn't had to go against a runner like Sermon until tonight, all season long. Maybe last year in the title game when they played against Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year, maybe that could compare. But when we look at all of these games that we've seen in the bowl season, this was the highest quality of football. We saw a lot of NFL talent on the field. I think Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, those are 2 quarterbacks that we'll see in an NFL uniform next year as a starter at some point. Lawrence will probably start much earlier in the season, presumably, but I don't know. It's way too early to be talking about the NFL draft. Now, when we're talking about receivers, Chris Olave, he is a difference maker. He's one of these down the field receivers, maybe like a Julio Jones, where you can get him in space, and he can create that space as long as the throw's on target. And it's a receiver that obviously Kansas City has a lot of, and obviously Mahomes makes their jobs easy because he's so accurate and so precise. But I really hope that we got a lot of football fans ready for a national championship. We'll have college football today, tomorrow. Getting used to 4 games, two in the near 6. And obviously we may have a discussion about whether Notre Dame should have been left out of the playoff and A&M should have been in. Obviously, really whatever A&M team shows up tomorrow. I think certainly Oklahoma played really well. Maybe they would have at least given a better offensive opportunity against Alabama, as they pretty much stopped Florida. I mean, Florida was putting their like C team in, but that's another story. All right, anything else we got to get to for this Sugar Bowl? Obviously, it was that second quarter. Every other quarter other than the second quarter was even in the scoring. And, I mean, if you missed the second quarter, I think you got to go back and watch it. It's the quarter where Skalski got ejected. I didn't really watch much of the first quarter because I was wrapping up the other game. And, we got a lot to get to. So again, that'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, College Bowl today. We've got, again, congrats to Ohio State. They're back in the national championship for the first time since that great first playoff in 2014. They'll be headed against Alabama January the 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. It'll be at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. Hope you guys enjoy, and Happy New Year to everybody. It's nearly January the 2nd across the country. Peace out, y'all.